देखिएगा सर आ रहे हैं शायद संजीव सर ज्वाइन किया था ना अभी वेट कर
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all the esteemed members and participants joining us today for the Global Uran series, web series 37, organized by the Global Trade and Services Committee of ICI. I am C. Ankita Agrawal, and it's my privilege to be moderating today's session on the topic Preparation of an Effective Accounting Outsourcing Contract. Outsourcing today is no longer just about cost efficiency. It has become a strategic tool for scalability, specialization, and global collaboration. However, the success of any outsourcing arrangement fundamentally depends on how well the contract is structured. A well drafted contract not only defines scope but also sets expectations, builds accountability, and prevents future conflicts. Now, it's my distinct privilege. Do we have Sandeep sir with us? Okay, so now in the absentia of CS Sanjeev sir, I would like to set the context for us today's speaker session. So, friends, tell me how many of you have experienced the challenges in outsourcing despite having a contract in place? The reality is, most outsourcing challenges is in outsourcing despite having a contract in place. The reality is, most issues do not arise because of lack of capability, but due to the lack of clarity in contract. For instance, in one real life case, a firm outsourced bookkeeping services with a broadly defined scope. Over time, additional responsibilities like payroll, audit support were informally added without any revision in pricing or agreement. Result- This resulted in team burnout and client dissatisfaction. The highlights in the key point are what is not defined clearly in the contract eventually becomes a problem in execution. Today, we will explore how to structure contracts that are not just legally sound but also operationally effective and scalable. Now, let us take a deep dive into this subject. For that, I'm delighted to introduce our eminent speaker for today, CA Japnapreet Singh. Sir is a distinguished chartered accountant from Sirsa, Haryana, recognized for his outstanding academic achievements and multiple accolades in finance. He brings extensive expertise in UK, US, European financial domains with a strong background in statutory reporting, compliance, and cross border finance operations. He previously led statutory reporting and compliance functions for multiple entities at a UK based KPO and has gained valuable experience working with reputed organizations such as Amazon and SR Dinodia and Company. Currently, he is a practicing chartered accountant serving a diverse international client base across US, UK, and Canada. His professional portfolio includes managing multi jurisdictional VAT returns, designing insightful management reports, and acting as a trusted client license to ensure seamless communication and delivery. Known for his proficiency in advanced accounting softwares and systems, Sir also plays a key role in mentoring and developing teams in global finance operations. His ability to combine technical expertise with client centric solutions makes him a valuable advisor in the international finance landscape. Sir brings with him rich experience and practical insights in the field of accounting, outsourcing, and global delivery services. Sir, we look forward to a valuable session. Now, over to you.
Hi everyone, this is Japan. First of all, just to check you, I am audible to you guys. Maybe it's Ankita if you can confirm.
Yes, sir, you are
Yeah.
audible.
So, very warm welcome to all of you guys. Hi everyone, I am Japan Singh. As rightly mentioned by C. Ankita, that I am from Sirsa. It's a very small city in Haryana. Uh, that due to which I like somehow landed into this landscape. Like first, a brief intro about myself from my mouth would be that as I mentioned, I belong to Sirsa, which is very small city, having like very limited space for chartered accountants to grow. And the whatever the industry size is, it was already covered by the local practicing chartered. So when I qualified CA, it was like very limited for me to outgrow in my city. So I either I have to relocate to some city and or I like be in competition with the local charters only. So uh, and the industry side, as I mentioned, was very small. So I somehow tried finding the other things and other ways where I can land into. So this is how I landed into the outsourcing journey, as in like global outsourcing in this particular space. So now the reward, it's a rewarding career, obviously. So I believe almost all of you are here in this space due to similar reasons, as in like sitting in smaller city at the comfort of your home or hometown, and then wanted to explore global careers so that like you can outgrow in your practice. Hi, Sanjeev sir is also here.
Hi, good morning, Jitpin. I'm actually listening to what you are saying and I'm very excited. But please continue. I just will take 2 minutes to give two very important announcements. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ankita. Being the
Good
chairman of
morning.
this Global Trade and Services Committee, let me tell you that this Global UDAN webinar series is basically focusing on creating that goosebump to many chartered accountants across the country who is looking forward to have a dream to be global. Like this journey, in fact, I've started 25 years back. And again, it's the same journey which many of us have traveled and worked upon. But let me tell you, this is getting more and more exciting. This is getting more and more engaging and and in the next series, hopefully, I'll be coming up with to say how to get your first client globally. So basically, that's a very important question. Maybe Japanese, please Singh, you can cover that in your presentation as well. But let me tell you very quickly that we are coming up with a series of 50 events across the country, which is called Global Orbit Summit, where physically we are going to go to each and every tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and we are trying to showcase all the important areas and opportunities which each and everyone can access to. And we are going to take delegation across the world. So we are planning to have a delegation very soon in London, where it is a delegation who can attend the event and conferences. Also, they will get an opportunity to meet at least 15 to 20 accounting firms who are actually working over there, so that they can learn from these firms what they do and what they expect, and they can network with them. So these are opportunities. The last thing which I wanted to share is on this month, 30th of April, we are planning to have a delegation in IFC, a gift city. And we cannot take a lot of delegation over there. So those who are interested can share your interest immediately. That is happening in Gift City, and we are going to plan a delegation visit along with 2 days global summit, which we are going to have over there. So there are a lot of excitement which is going to come up, and anyone who is into this industry, who is working for clients anywhere in the world, we are welcoming them as an expert so that all together we can work as an ecosystem, work as a society where we can help each other, we can share resources, we can share expertise, and we can network so that we become accountants for the entire world. With that, thank you once again, Ankita, for doing a wonderful moderation, and to Japinpreet Singh for taking this opportunity and helping the cause of making many chartered accountant access the world and do their work. So happy learning to all the people who have joined. I've just seen that more than 411 members are listening to this. So this is an exciting opportunity, and many members are looking forward for this. So over to you, Mr. Singh. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev sir. Since now you have joined, sir, I would like to have a small introduction for you as well. Give me this opportunity, please.
Ankita, never mind, don't worry. I'm just a chairman of Global Trade and Services and a council member. I think let's take more use of the time of Japnapreet Singh and let's work on more opportunity. But thank you so much for this gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Japnapreet, sir.
Thank you, Sanjeev sir, and thank you, Ankita ma'am, for this. And like as Sanjeev sir also mentioned that he started his journey, like everyone starts their journey by being a young entrepreneur, starting career and outgrowing. So, as I mentioned, belonging to a small city, I somehow is growing is in this rewarding career. So I would like to give my insights so how you guys can like scale your practices as well as have solid contracts in place so that if there is any opportunity coming in your like firm, you can handle these things very carefully as well as like so that you can have uh, you can don't run into the scope creeps and all these things. So with this notion, I am starting with my session. So first of all, I would like to like give a bit insight on this outsourcing space. It's a 100 billion opportunity, $100 billion like a global outspace, if I would say, as in like maybe 60 billion would be coming from USA and 10 billion from UK. A lot of countries are ready to give work to Indians as well, like outsourcing support because we are already equipped with a lot of knowledge, technical expertise with the convergence of IFRS and Ind AS, the opportunities are rising in the accounting out space as well. So this opportunity is huge, uh, and a lot of demand is coming in. But there are like there can be two different types of setups which can be used for this like outsourcing. First can be GCCs or GICs, where like if you guys have heard of Big Fours having their global offshore offices in India, where they are providing in-house services to their global partners. Apart from that, like Google and Microsoft have their offices in India installed and providing backend support for their parent companies in abroad. Similarly, there can be outsourcing providers, third-party outsourcing providers as well, where we, being individual charters, having like small firms or maybe firms, will want to tap in this outsourcing through this outsourcing partners. Where, for example, you might have heard of Genpact, QX Global, or Accenture. So these sort of firms are already doing great in this outsourcing space, being a third party consultant. And now, like with ICI's initiative, a lot of charters are willingly getting into this journey. So I want to ask, like, maybe because this is a virtual setup, maybe have your answers in your mind. So what's holding back you guys, as in, like, is it like finding clients? Regulatory differences, time zones, or pricing fears, or maybe cultural barriers before like entering into outsourcing space. So this is how like for answering all of these, ICI is here for you to support in every way. This outsourcing space is growing at a CAGR of 7 to 8% every year. So this opportunity is huge. So is the demand, and so is the supply as well. Like we want to make India outsourcing hub for finance as well. So, like all of you must be wondering that if like finding clients is the difficult and the more, as in like Sanjeev sir also mentioned that finding client is the most challenging part. So, as per my opinion, as per my experience, the easiest way to get into this outsourcing space would be white labeling for the like it is the fastest and the lowest risk method. I would suggest it for the beginners, as in like white labeling for CPA firms or the firms based in the global countries, as in like foreign nations. What does that mean? As in like what's like white labeling? again, as in we are in virtual space, so I would try to answer as many as queries that you would have in your mind, so that like I'll be able to answer and cover everything. And but if still there is doubt, please mention your doubts in the query session so that like we can answer it. So what's white labeling? A simple example would be like a headphone manufacturing company, or at least labeling company was bought. Like board was used to get their work, get their the headphones and the earphones outsourced from China. They used to label it in their name as under their brand and sell it to Indian customer. So everyone have heard of this example. So similarly, white labeling for CPA firm would be we chartered accountants sitting in India would be providing our expertise service as a backend support or growth providers to the CPA firm sitting in maybe USA or UK. So like in this sort of space, we being chartered, we will be providing backend, and the front end would be taken care by the CPA partners, as in like CPA firm itself. We are not directly in touch with the client of that firm. So we are like providing backend to the CPA firm, and CPA firm labeling it as their own services may provide the services to the client. As in, like, for example, if I am doing bookkeeping, so bookkeeping is done by me being a backend support, and then the final labeling it as their own service, the CPA firm can lend it to the client. So this is the easiest and the quickest method, I would say. And then like once you have proper knowledge about the industry and you are having proper knowledge and you are already working into this domain, you can have your first clients as well, as in like you can pitch your service to direct businesses. And once you get your first referral, maybe from CPA or maybe like direct businesses, you can have a referral network. So in similarly in India as well, like this is how industry grow, as in like we our practices grow. We poach or maybe we get first client, and then with word of mouth, with good services, our businesses grow. So similarly, referral network will grow. And then the third and the most sustainable type would be entering into joint ventures with a like big CPA or maybe ACCA based in UK, US, or Netherlands, or whatever country you are trying to get into, and having joint ventures with that person. Because see, people would be able to trust you more if you have a physical presence as well. So if you are not having physical presence, unless you are already in business for long and you have already set up your name, otherwise the trust would be difficult to get, to achieve. So the easiest method would be to entering into a joint venture with the global CPA, or maybe CPA sitting in the whatever country you are poaching into, trying to get into, and then scaling the business with that person. So the starting with first model, this should be like stack of partnerships, as in like start with first and then reach out and then maybe find your own clients and outgrow these services. So with this, like all of you, I believe must be excited to get your first clients. But the thing is, getting first client, you will get your first client, but at the same time, when you start, like in the desperation of getting first client, you will miss on a lot of things, uh, as in like judiciary in India is not that stringent, as in like not strict. So we all know that in India, if there is any mistake by a CA, indemnity and liability insurances are not in place in India, because we work with a lot of clients, but still nobody sues us in like in generally, right? So, but in global space, people are like judiciary actually works, and people are ready to like sue anybody in if there is any breach of contract. So we should have proper and robust contracts in place before we get our clients. So this is why it is very important to have robust contracts in place before you get your clients. And because see, because everyone is desperate enough to grow grow their practice, but in that growth phase, see, once you start getting clients, you will try to get more clients, but this is the legal space is somehow gets missed. And once a liability sue arises against you, you are totally gone out of business. As in, like, indemnity works a lot stringent way in global outspace. So this is how, like, a 15 close outsourcing contract, not just US, I would say it's a global outsourcing contract where you can have a robust contract in place so that you are not gone out of business, or maybe you do not face any sort of difficulty when you are actually trying to or maybe outgrow in this practice. So as per a Deloitte survey happened in 24-25, I believe, 42% of escalations come if there are unclear contracts in place, as in, like, the SLAs are not clear, the scope of work, the deliverables are not that clear. So that's why the dispute arises, and everyone like suffers in this particular place because of the outsourcing. And this is the challenge in outsourcing, to be sure. So with this note, let's start our 15 close contract, which very well defines everything. So you have it in your place, so that once you get your clients, you are not you are solid in your at least the backend. So first of all, as in, like, we all are chartered accountants, and we already know that what's the contract, and the basic would be the parties and relationships, as in, like, you being a service provider. For example, I'll be taking that white labeling more, as in, like, if you are starting with your practices in this outsourcing space, so you might be trying to white label a CPA firm based in any country, and then trying to support their work sitting in India. So first of all, defining the parties, as in, like, you will be service provider and they will be the service recipient, and like a legal entity and mentioning of legal statuses, as in, like, you are an independent contractor or you are working in the capacity of employee. So similar simple things you can mention is provider is an independent contractor, nothing in an agreement creates an employment. So these sort of things, very basic. Now comes a very important part of this scope, the contract, which because that's why you should have the contracts in place, that is scope of services, as in, like, the SLAs. uh, like, you maybe virtually answer this, as in, like, how many of you have actually faced, or maybe you guys must be able to relate this thing, as in, like, when you were doing maybe employment, or you guys were in your articleship days, your principal or maybe your bosses managers used to come at a nearer to deadline place, and then start asking a lot of things, as in, like, can you do this, can you do this? So a lot of you guys must relate to it, as in, like, there is like, if the scope is not defined, you guys everyone, as in, uh, face this sort of challenges and adversity, as in, like, people come at last stage and ask a lot of deliverables, and then once it's coming in, you end up in burning out, right? So similar thing has happened with me while I was working in a previous organization. Uh, my like, we used to do end-to-end month-end bookkeeping. So we used to report our MIS packs by day 5, and then that is, like, in bookkeeping, everyone can like, if you are in this space, you can relate that we have to deliver our month-end packs by day 5, 7, whatever. And we used to give our month end packs. But at the same time, on a Friday evening, my finance manager sitting in UK reached out to me, as in, like, mentioned, "Hey Japan, can you do me a quick favor? can you make a reconciliation of all the group entities and give it to me by say tomorrow? So see, like I had already have, or maybe Monday, right? So this sort of thing can happen with you, as in like, can you please provide a quick summary on this particular topic? Can you do this favor? So these quick favors generally end up in giving a lot of work or maybe a lot of ad hoc work with everyone if the scope is unclear. For example, even in Indian context, if you are filing or maybe doing bookkeeping of your Indian clients as well, um, or maybe if you are handling a tax like tax compliance of a particular person. For example, you are doing just ITR filing, and then if in the later stage a notice comes, they expect that that notice, answering to that notice, is also part of your job. If And this is because the scope is not defined, as in like if we are providing a particular service, if the scope is defined that we will be doing a scope of like filing ITR only, then they will not assume that answering to the notices or maybe handling their cases for scrutiny is part of our job, right? So that is a particularly a different scope of service. So so this is why the scope of this service is very important. For example, if when that lady came out to me, can you provide a quick summary of balances or maybe reconciliations outstanding for the group? I was handling 16 entities, almost as in like holding and subsidiary structure was 30 entities. So I was totally ran out of mind, as in like how will I'll be able to deliver this by the next day if the scope was unclear, right? So that's why you should have proper SLAs in place. So what's an SLA? SLA is a service level agreement which defines that what you actually deliver, when it's due, what defines its acceptance, and what are the penalties and rewards associated with it. Instead of running into a global space, I would try to take an Indian example again, where you guys can relate more, as in like what's an SLA? SLA is firstly what do you deliver in. For example, we are filing a GST return for an Indian client, or maybe like annual compliance every month, or maybe quarterly we are filing GST returns, right? So the like what you deliver, you will be fine, like the scope would be, as in like you will be like we will be delivering the returns, as in like compliances for GST, that is GST year 1 and 3B. We will be filing on behalf of a client, and then when it's due, so if you are filing quarter, it's due by say GST year 1 is due by 13th, or then GST year 3B by 23rd, right? So this sort of things can you can mention. Then what defines acceptance? Filing it before due date defines its acceptance with minimal or maybe no errors and omissions. And what are the penalties and rewards? So penalties and rewards can be like if we are able to file the GST returns for the 12 months in a particular time horizon, as in like for 12 straight months we haven't delayed any GST return, so that would be a reward basically that can attach we can attach a reward to it. Or maybe penalties, as in like if there is a two penalty point, or maybe like what's penalty point, as in like if we are unable to file the GST return by that due date, then that would count as a penalty point. So in a continuous span of 12 months, if you are not able to file two GST returns by a particular, as in like by due date, then 10% fees reduction would be there. So this sort of things can define a SLA, and that can be a robust one, right? So another example would be a AP function. How many of you actually understand what's an AP function? Uh, so AP function is accounts payable function, as in like whenever a particular, like for example, you are providing outsourcing support to a client based in say US, and you have outsourced their AP function only, as in you will be handling their purchases to pay, as in like you will be recording every entry from their purchases for all the expenses they are doing, and then payment of to the vendors as well. So this is whole AP function. So you outsource that AP function from out like a person sitting in US, a company sitting in US. So what you will do, like how you will define SLA for each activity, as in like you will be processing all the invoices in 24 hours, as in of the receipt, all the approvals, as in like punching of all invoices, and then uh, everyone knows maker checker, right? So in like one person punches the invoice and second person approves that. So by Thursday each week, all invoices will be approved, and every invoice coming in from the vendors will be paid out by Friday. So this sort of thing can be placed in like in your SLA, that any sort of ad hoc queries will be answered requiring work of less than 2 hours may be answered same day or maybe another day, and any sort of ad hoc queries which are more than like take consuming more than 2 hours can be delivered by say within a week span, or maybe routed through managers uh, query books, right? So this sort of things can be placed in your SLA so that you do not end up in scope creep. So uh, like, so example would be as month end close, as I mentioned, T plus 5 with 99% accuracy. And if there is like if you are unable to provide the month end packs by T plus 7, as in like by seventh working day, then 10% fees reduction. So this is maybe a penalty associated with the contract itself, right? Email responses, for example, AP function again, you are unable to respond to emails by 24 hours, then escalation to manager can be associated. Bank reconciliation, like you guys can take also like for intercompanies, a lot of banks are there for a lot of like it's a pain point as well. Like you take only bank reconciliation from a global company. So that handling bank responses, bank reconciliations only. So you will be handling bank reconciliation. So this the what do you deliver actually? You will be delivering that there will be no outstanding amounts, as in no outstanding items, and if there is any outstanding item, that would be documented properly. Now, if there are outstanding items in the bank reconciliation, right? Like what's bank reconciliation? Everyone knows being charters, and but like in our books, we generally do bank reconciliation, as in like when at least in theoretically, we used to do bank reconciliation of 4 5 entries, like starting with bank balance or maybe cash balance and matching it out to the bank. But this is in real space, hundreds or maybe thousands of entries would be coming every month in the banks. So reconciling that is also a pain point. So if you are unable to reconcile everything, you will reperform at no charge. This can be maybe penalty, or maybe like if you are able to achieve, for example, 95% is the mentioned thing, that is 95% items would be closed, 5% only outstanding items would be there. So if more than 5%, you will be reperforming at no cost. So these sort of things you can inculcate in your contract so that you are not uh, ending into scope creep. What scope creep, as I meant, like I am using this word multiple times. What scope creep, as in like you end up doing a lot of ad hoc task which was not mentioned in scope. That is scope creep. So a lot of things, as in like when you actually see, we being service providers, even in India or maybe in USA, UK, in every context, whoever is the service recipient, our service recipient would try to find maximum value out of you for the money that person has paid. Now, for example, you are doing bookkeeping, even in India, or maybe you are filing the simple income tax return. That person would try to poach or reap that maximum benefit out of you. Maybe he wants to get his taxes reviewed for everything, or maybe as in like note answer the notices as well, handle cases in the same fees, right? So uh, like these things are bound to be here in service industry, as in like people will try to get more work out of you basis because we are charging for the time we are putting in. So they will try to reap maximum benefit, as in like try to consume more hours out of you, more hours, right? So we can simply add these things as well in our SLAs. As in Ankita ma'am also mentioned in the starting itself that a lot of instances would be there. People that our clients would be asking us a lot of ad hoc tasks. So the best policy, or maybe the best lines to inculcate in your contracts would be to have a revision policy, as in like for anything ad hoc task, or maybe after hours support, a lot of things would be coming in. So to answer that, have these things written in your contract that, for example, after hours, uh, if there is like one time thing, you will be able to handle it, as in like we we being humans, uh, will not want to let go our clients on base like one or two requests. But if that thing is coming in on a regularly basis, uh, that creates burnout, right? So revision policies, as in like if a doc task is consuming more than 2 hours, or maybe more than 4 hours, that has to be approved by the manager or maybe the partner of the firm. And then if like that sort of ad hoc activities is coming every day or 2 days, or maybe every week, then you can inculcate that ad hoc task will be handled at say X dollar per hour additionally, apart from whatever services you are doing. If ad hoc task is coming in regularly, you will be doing that work for additional per hour rate, or maybe additional rates you can play around, right? So a lot like you might be able to relate and understand more in this way, that whenever there is a proper, these sort of things would be written, as in like a doc query will be answered at 50 hours, $50 per hour, or maybe $10 per hour. Then the client would also value your work as well, value your time. That if I am giving, say, reconciliation to this person by like Friday evening, and that person will be working over weekend, so I have to pay it more, right? So if these things are not in place, then you will be ending up doing a lot of work for free of course. That is charity, right? You are into a business, and if you want to actually grow into this business, have proper things written so that you are not gone out of business because you are doing charity, right? And simply escalations you can also mention. So with this thing, I believe like this is the most important thing. You should have it in your uh, firm, that these sort of contracts would safeguard you in a longer journey, instead of like you don't think this as maybe a compliance thing, but it's a safeguard for you. So then coming to close 4 of ours, the 15 closer accounting contract would be having data security and confidentiality clauses. As in like, see, we are in an era of AI, and cyber attacks are everywhere. So you have to maintain the data security and confidentiality as well. And not just you being like, if you are serious about this journey, you will be employing a lot of firm, as in like employees under you, or maybe you have all see people are already in this space, have employed a lot of people under you. So even your employer should be maintaining the data confidentiality, data security, uh, and like it's everywhere that confidentiality is very much valued everywhere. Data privacy, data security would be and mentioning of these clauses, that how you gonna answer the data breaches. Like if there is a breach notification, for example, within 24 hours of confirmed breaches, you will be writing an email, a phone call, and a root cause analysis in within 72 hours. A lot of you might think that in the initial phase of your practices of a outsourcing journey that these things will not are not required, but uh, think from a maybe a distant view that if there is a data breach in your firm, that person sitting in US might sue you, and you will be ending up paying say $1 million as an indemnity to recover that breach, or so these sort of things can be very challenging in a outsourcing space in India. Judiciary, as I earlier mentioned, doesn't work that on a that quicker space, but in global context, judiciary actually works on a quicker space, so people are relying on judiciary, right? So they are ready to sue. Like what sort of encryptions would be using? Like once your firm grows, have a IT person in place as well, or maybe take IT support for these sort of things, as in like encryptions using AES 256, as in like this is a standard for encryption. Like these sort of things you can mention, and everything as in like physical security of the assets, as in like you are running a firm, you are having multiple employees, so how the data would be secured, as in like their assets as well, like laptops are secured, CCTV access, biometric access, also, like yeah, if you have worked in Indian corporate as well, there's usually a policy of changing the passwords every now and then, as in like 90 days, change the password. So these are part of the data security, so that the theft cannot happen on a general and a regular basis, and like uh, safeguarding measures, right? So these things are very much required. Apart from that, uh, like confidentiality, every employee and you have to maintain. There are a lot of laws. Maybe for example, UK GDPR, as in like data protection regulations, general data protection regulations. US have, every state have, like Connecticut, maybe that California Consumer Privacy Act, a lot of acts prevalent in these countries. So you have to maintain confidentiality, and these clauses written in your contract would like at back of your mind, you will be also clear while writing these contracts in your firm and signing it, that you have to maintain confidentiality, and even your employers have to maintain the data privacy, right? So uh, like you can simply mention these sort of confidentiality, that data uh, you are providing, taking data for performance of services only, you will be not disclosing that to the third party. uh, like what security measures you will be taking as per maybe exhibit, and then notifying if there is any data breaches, and you will be deleting every data, every backup after say 30 days, or maybe say 90 days, if whatever the client suits, whatever it suits to the client, I think like after termination of the contracts, right? So these sort of things you can mention. Moving forward to compliances and professional responsibility. Uh, like this is also a good point, as in like writing it defines the responsibility. It actually allocates and the responsibility, and it's a safeguard measure for again a Indian service provider, as in like you will be responsible for these things, and it actually reduces your scope of work to a limited phrase, as in like you will be responsible for, maybe if you are providing a backend support to a CPA firm in USA, you will be responsible for preparation of books, you will be drafting tax returns, but reviewing and actual signing and filing would be done by that CPA. So these sort of things actually safeguards, as in like you are not responsible for third party claims, as in you prepared a tax return, you drafted a tax return for a US client, CPA reviewed it and filed it. So the burden for the third party claims would fall on that CPA and not you. So it actually safeguards you that you are providing the back office execution only and technical support. You are not like giving opinions. You are not holding yourself as a licensed CPA or maybe a ACCA, and your liability is limited to a reperformance of the work or errors you have made. See, we are bound to make good of whatever mistakes we did, but we are not liable to the third party, as in like the clients of that CPA, right? So CPA firm would be liable to maintain the CPA code of conduct. Like our mother body, ICAI has given code of conducts in India. Similarly, AICPA being mother body of CPAs in USA have given code of conducts in US as well. So like final review would be on that CPA, signing would be done by that CPA, and that CPA is in direct touch with the client. So client relationships is no with maintaining that relationship with also the CPA, not with you, right? Uh, Not part of my slide, but I would definitely want to mention that CPA, AI CPA has given like a lot of code of conduct and a vendor due diligence. After this session, maybe Google it, AI CPA vendor due diligence compliance framework. So it also covers a lot of thing, or a 10 pointer due diligence checklist, which clearly mentions that CPA firm should also properly use due diligence while onboarding offshore support, for example Indian offshore support. So every considering like professional responsibilities, we should define it very much clearly that we will be doing this and your responsibility is limited to this thing. Then like definitely fees and billing payments, this is also a very critical and very important thing. As in, like we are defining a contract, that is a base. Like we are defining a master service agreement, right? So in master service, we have covered a few points, as in like if I like do a bit summary, as in like we started with defining the parties and then defining the scope of services, then moving to the data security, then after data security, responsibility allocation, and then the major part would be fees, billing, and payment. We being chartered are very much aware that how we gonna, as in like we can do our market research, as in like how much we can charge for ourselves for our services. That is part of your market research, as in like what country you are pitching in, what sort of rates are there in that country, and how much you can like you can charge so that it you can get the client as well as it covers your cost as well. So these sort of things, fees and billing, you are very much complied, as in like understand for yourself, as in like but you can have different models of payments, as in like fees for your maybe billings, a monthly fixed fee. For example, I in my firm is doing bookkeeping services apart from some taxes as well. So I generally do monthly retainers, as in like I'll be taking say 3,500 dollars per month for bookkeeping, and but in this particular thing, ad hoc tasks are not covered. So I generally do this, as in like with monthly retainers, any sort of ad hoc things coming in that would be charged separately, right? You can have like simple hourly rates as well. As well, for example, you are just filing tax returns. So for every return, you will be maybe basis per transaction that filing form 1040 of US individual clients, you will take say 25. And for entities, as in like corporations returns, S Corp or C Corp, you will be charging say $150 per month, per entity or per return, right? So these sort of things you can mention, as in like what define, as in like it can vary basis the work you will be doing. So, and you can also have a hourly rate. So starting it would be maybe at the initial stage you will be trying to think at least get $10 per hour. Uh, that would be at least a base rate for Indian CAs at least. So start with $10-12 per hour. Once you have expertise, you can even go quote say $100 per hour. That would be a later stage of your career, right? So start with $10 at least, I would say to the audience. Now, apart from that, like these can be structures for the billings, but have a clear defined payment terms as well. As in, like they will being CPA firms having like at the initial stage you will not have that much say against them, as in like you cannot have favorable terms for you in the initial phase, but like they might mention that we will be paying after 90 days of your you raising invoice, right? Even in India, like at least small businesses try to pay by 6 months or by quarterly only, or maybe at least in my cities, there's some people or clients pay annually only. So once a year payment. So that would that would be a pitfall for your firm, as in like you have to bear the expenses every month. You are having a employees on your payroll, and you are providing as in like you have to pay their salaries every month. You are getting the fees after say 90 or 120 days. So that can be a pitfall for your firm. So to overcome that hurdle, mentioned it clearly that like you need payment by say 30 days. Negotiate. This is, see, before entering into any contract we generally negotiate, right? So you will be charging say raising invoice after 30 days, or maybe the define the clear payment terms, as in like if there is a late payment you will be charging interest 1.5% or part of month per month, right? So you can mention these sort of things. uh, Moving forward to the IPR, uh, this would be used in a firm which has actually scaled much, as in like you are having, say, your templates, robust templates. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to relate, because like if you have worked in a maybe say Big Four, they have proper templates on their own. They have their proprietary softwares as well. As in, like if talk about my previous company, they have their proprietary software, in-house software, where every invoice from the vendor coming in would be automatically read by the system, and the data entry would be punched in the system itself just by reading a PDF, right? Like a lot of AI softwares are doing it now, reading it as in like AI based software, reading the PDF and punching the entries in Tally. Similarly, that 2-3 years ago, my firm, as in like my previous organization, has prepared that proprietary software in-house, which used to do that work, right? Now, if you are in a service provider and recipient relationship, as in like my firm provides service to a company handling their bookkeeping, end-to-end accounting and bookkeeping. So they might claim that that proprietary software is also theirs, as in like the firm, the service provider or the CA firm has prepared that software while working on that client, right? So they will be taking that software after the contracts end, right? So to safeguard your proprietary softwares, your in-house templates, your in-house software, you can mention. that the intellectual property belongs to the recipient or the provider. Like customized specifically for clients would be retained by the provider. Uh, as in like know-how proprietary softwares will be retained by the provider, being a CPA, sorry, Indian CA firm, and then client owns their data, their work product. They can The data belongs to client, but proprietary software belongs to us. So this sort of clause can be entered into a big firm basically, right? You can clearly mention the termination clauses as in and renewal clauses as well. As in like you are providing bookkeeping service every month. So after 12 months, the contract will be automatically renewed at say 10% enhancement or 20% enhancement. But if that terms is not cleared, as in like auto renewal, what's the scenario? As in like how you will handle it? Termination, either party can maybe written notice over email or maybe proper notice, whatever the mode of communication. Say with a 90 days notice period, you can terminate that contract. See, you might think that why this termination clause and why, this is not important to me, but see, everything is important if you want to actually grow in your outsourcing space. Uh, I believe like all of you are spending, like sir mentioned that more than 400 strength is already there in the this webinar. So I believe all of you are serious about this journey. So everything matters in long run. Maybe in the first client you might not feel this sort of need, as in you might get to work on Upwork for say one time project of $20. You would not be entering into these sort of contracts, right? But I am broadening your uh, mind in a longer perspective, as in like once you find getting clients, as in like you start getting clients and your firm actually grows, then you actually need these sort of contracts in place so that you are not getting into any sort of trouble in the long run. Then the termination, as we clearly mentioned that we either party can terminate it, but after termination as well, that every data, because the data is it belongs to client, so you should have proper like it can be part of your data clause as well, that after termination of contract, the data would be deleted in say 30 days, and proper written deletion certificate would be provided to the client as well. Now, again, you will be thinking, I do not need these things, but believe me, these things are very much needed in a global space. You will not be able to relate it in Indian space, but in global space, everything is required. Then the major and the most important would be liability and indemnity clauses. As in, you are providing a service, we are bound to make mistakes. Uh, our team will be making mistakes. So those errors and omissions might turn out into huge events, which actually damages client's financial. So client may sue you and ask you to make it good, or maybe indemnify that client for a certain fees, as in like certain amount. But if you have a liability clause in place and indemnity clause in place, that my liability is restricted to this much amount and my liability is restricted to this particular uh, reasons, then you can have a solid contract by having a solid contract in place, you can make it through while working in the outsourcing. But uh, the obviously the vendor or the service recipient, as in like our customers would definitely want that our liabilities are unlimited. We will be providing unlimited chance of rework if we make errors, and they will also be expecting that in case of any breach or maybe data or maybe errors and omissions in your work, then you will indemnify that firm or maybe the business by say X amount, unlimited liability caps, right? So to safeguard yourself, have proper liability and indemnity clause. For example, uh, like total liability capped at a lesser of fees paid in 12 months or preceding the claim or $100. As in like my liability is limited to last 12 months of fees, not beyond that. As in like if I'm charging 4,000 per month, then 4,000 per month would be 48,000 for 12 months. So my liability is restricted to either 48,000 or $100,000 uh, for any sort of breaches. So it can help you to safeguard and restrict your liability. Also, these sort of things you can mention that indirect claims, as in like third party. For example, again, you are providing your service to a CPA, not direct client or not direct business, right? So your liability is restricted to damages to the firm and not to the third party. So third party can sue the CPA only, not you. So these sort of things actually protects. And again, the liability is limited to this. You are not responsible for penalties levied by IRS or maybe say for example Canadian Revenue Authority, uh, uh, IRS. So these sort of things actually protects you. You are not responsible for damages for the client's reputation or these sort of things. So you can mention these sort of things in your contract. So have to have a proper liability cap. Now, client may ask that I do not want 100,000 indemnity cap. I want you to have at least 500,000 indemnity cap. For that, insurances, like for example, I know in India a few credit cards also give like AU Metal credit card. I'm not promoting anything, but AU Metal card for CAs, designed specifically for CAs, provide 5 lakh of indemnity insurances to CAs as well, right? So why indemnity insurances are there? Because that insurance, in case you make certain errors and omission, you have indemnity insurances in place. So any sort of claim against your firm, that will be borne by the insurance company. So you can have those sort of insurances in place as well for to safeguard you. But now the client wants, instead of 100,000, they want 500,000. Sorry, 500. Yeah. So 500K indemnity would also needed, uh like you will not be able to cover. So you are earning 4,000 per month or 3,000 per month, and you are indemnify your client for to 500K. So you would need a insurance to cover it. The amount are huge, right? So what you will do, you will have a insurance in place. And for example, professional insurances, I skipped one slide, I'll cover it later. To cover the insurance requirements first, you every business in US is covered by insurances, because as I mentioned, judiciary is there, people are ready to sue you. So insurances are required very much and pretty much. So you can have say $1 million insurance in place, or maybe aggregate for annual. You will be that insurance company will be covering you till say $2 million. So these sort of insurances comes at a cost of 3,000 to $7,000. you can mention that we will be taking this insurance. We have this cyber liability insurance is in place, that maybe like this sort of thing, that service provider in India would be having indemnity insurance of this amount, a cyber liability insurance of this amount, a general commercial liability may or may not, like this can be optional, but these things are very much important. Uh, you can negotiate the fees as well. If the client, as in like I mentioned in this previous slide, the client mentioned that they do not want $100,000, they want 500,000. So you can negotiate it, as in like, see, I have to take insurances. The insurance for the enhanced cost, that is like 500 cap, 500,000 cap, uh, would be coming at a certain cost, right? So I have to bear that cost. For example, that $1 million would come at $3,000 or $7,000. So that would be additional 200, $300 cost coming in, right? For a for that insurance. So you can clearly mention in your while negotiating that if you want a limited cap, or maybe say $500 cap, uh, you have to, like, my fees would not be restricted to say 3,000. My fees would be at, like, I have to require malpractice insurance costing 50K per year, so my fees would be 7,000 instead of say 3,000. So this sort of pricing would protect you. This sort of liability, clear mention of professional allocation, duties allocation. Like we discussed one slide of allocation of duties as well, right? So in this sort of things actually protects you to cap your liability. At the end, need we are dealing in finance, right? I mean, like are dealing in, we are actually doing a business. So uh, will not be able to cover these much used cost coming in with the uh, judicial aspects or legal ways. So if these robust contracts are in place with you guys, then you can at least defend your case while anybody sues you. Or maybe if the scopes are very much clear, deliverables are very much clear, everything is placed, the disputes would be very, very less, right? I believe all of you must be agreeing to it. Just a second. Then, after covering the liabilities and the indemnity insurances as well, we will also cover the business continuity. As in, like, for example, we are in a war-like situation, right? Or maybe like last year, at least Haryana, Punjab was under floods, right? Uh, a lot of states in India faces flood situations every year now. Now, in those sort of situations, well, you are not able to perform due to natural calamities. How you gonna safeguard? Because see, if you do not write these things in the writing in your contracts, then anybody can sue you because you are not providing services. That would be a breach of contract, right? You are unable to provide the service, whatever the reason is, that is a breach of contract. Now, if you have a force majeure clause mentioned in your uh, contract itself, then that in case of natural calamities, uh, like, or maybe natural disasters, or for example, COVID lockdowns, or whatever, or maybe war, terrorist, civil unrest, uh, like there will be no penalty or may on the breach of that contract due to these sort of uh, the things happening which are beyond the control of that firm. For example, you can mention if force majeure uh, exceeds more than 30 consecutive days, either party may terminate without penalty. No penalty to either party, right? So these sort of things you can clearly mention. And what's your continuity clause, as in like uh, You will be having UPS and generators in place, as in like electricity is an issue right nowadays, at least. A long cuts are in every city, because everyone knows the war situation. So a long cuts are there. So how you gonna plan it out? So you can mention those sort of things that can happen on a particular event, maybe 5 years, once in a 5 years or in a decade. But having robust contracts safeguards you actually. So we are preparing for the worst, right? We want to have robust contracts in place to safeguard us for any sort of adverse thing happening in our practice, right? Then the close 12 would be change management or scope amendments. As in, uh, at the start of this session as well, we discussed scope of work, defining the SLAs, but a lot of things would be coming in every now and then. Now, answer this query as well, that in case a doc request starts coming in on a daily basis, like for example, uh, say you are filing returns and that entity creates more, and like maybe you are having a CPA on in place, then that CPA asks us to like deal more returns at same price. For example, we are preparing the tax returns, and that CPA wants at same price, or maybe at say $4,000 per month retainer, you will be doing X number of returns, as in like the number of returns. So you initially started with say 200 returns every month. Now they are doing giving you say 300 returns, but at same price. So that is beyond your scope, right? You initially started with one thing and then things changed, right? So have proper clauses that in case of out of scope requests, how you gonna handle it. That like ad hoc request coming in for a bookkeeping, that you will be doing uh, say 2 hours of work in a week at a free of cost. Beyond that, you will be charging say $20 per hour. This is scope, like, and if that thing is happening on a daily basis, you will inculcate that in your scope as well. For example, a client may reach out to you. Can you reconcile 3 rental properties? Just add it to the monthly deliverables. Sure. So if you answer simply sure, considering that client will get offended if you say no, then in long run you will be in problem. See, we are desperate enough that we want clients, and we do not want to lose clients in this cutthroat competition era. But if you actually wants to grow and make your firm grow and survive and sustain in the long run, then you need to have a proper mindset in that aspect as well. You can simply mention happy to help. Those 3 LLCs or these 3 rental properties are outside of current scope. I'll send a change order estimated at $800 per month, additional for all 3. Shall I proceed? Then you have correctly answered client's push, and then client also understand that your work is valuable, your time is valuable. I am giving a doc request, then it has to be paid out as well, right? So if you do not have these things in place, then how you gonna survive? As in like that will lead to dispute for sure. For example, my client reached out to me in the initial example I took, that uh, prepare a group reconciliation for 16 entities by Monday. Now, if if there was no scope written in, that reconciliation is not part of my job. Or maybe if I have to take care of it, I'll do it after month end packs delivery. But if it is coming in between that month end, it gonna impact my regular business as usual, right? Regular BAU. if that is impacting my regular BAU, then client will also keep like would not be happy, right? That we are not able to perform the regular business. But who will entertain that ad hoc request? So keeping the in check the all the ad hoc request is also very much required. Now, communication, that how you gonna actually communicate, it would be very simple or maybe very crucial as well, as in like all the routine delivery and every conversation would be through emails. uh, any escalations would be happening in this way, particular way, as in like in first level communication for, or maybe escalation to manager, second level to a partner, if you have a hierarchy of employees. If you are working solely, as in like you working one person, then there would not be escalation, but there will be direct termination of contracts. You can understand, right? So, I believe you guys are serious and will be starting your firm. So, having or maybe already doing this sort of work, but if you have this sort of communication and escalations metrics in place, how you gonna manage the project? It's gonna have like help you out, as in like how you gonna manage the project management, uh, like what softwares you will be using to manage a particular project, as in like asana.com. I believe that is one. A lot of project management softwares are also in there, so you can either use them or maybe track your project. You will be tracking the project in this way. You can mention it the contract as well. uh, we already covered the scope and what defines the acceptance of a particular work. In the SLA, we defined one thing, that just one thing. Yeah. In the SLA, we defined what defines acceptance, what defines the completion criteria. As in, like, if we are able to complete the bank reconciliation without outsending items, that would be a completion acceptance. If we are able to give month-end packs by T5, T plus 5, then that would define a completion. So once the completion is done for a particular work, that would check your project as well. As in, like, you are doing, say, 10 items every month, uh, every line item, every SLA is checked, as in, like, every acceptance is done. Then you can define in your projects as well that 10% completion is done, 20% completion is done. Now comes quality control, as in, like, review procedures. We, uh, being charters, are inculcated by our mother body a lot of quality control measures. Like, uh, self review, like whoever is working. For example, I provide VAT filing as well service to Netherlands. So what I do, like self review by staff accountant. So self whoever is preparing that, as in like whoever is preparing that VAT return would be doing a check to say, for example, let's take a GST example in India. So you are filing GST return for your client. So self review would be that you took GST, as in like sales data. You took, like whoever is preparing would be taking sales data from, say, Tally, say purchase data, then expenses, every expense details from the Tally, and then you will be taking IMS, logging into their IMS portal, getting or fetching the inputs available on the data, reconciling the things, trying to map the errors, sorry, the mismatches, trying to find the reasons of the mismatches. So these sort of things can be part of the self review, and you took like taken care of everything. But the review, the preparer in itself checks these things, right? Then manager level or maybe a direct partner level review, as in like article prepared the return filed by the manager after the review, right? So these sort of things we already are aware. We have quality controls clearly mentioned that every return, for example, you are filing VAT return for a say UK client every month or maybe quarterly. So you will be clearly mentioning that first would be self-review check by the preparer itself. The self-review, he or she would be doing this much of checks, then technical review by manager, and then uh, final check by the finance manager sitting in the UK. So these sort of things you can play around. Uh, y- then relationship reviews or maybe these things can be used at a higher scale at your firm, which actually shows that you are not just a cheap labor, you have professional standards. Uh, ICAI, our mother body, has provided a lot of code of conducts and standards to us, and we should abide by those, and which if we abide those, it actually shows in our work as well as our quality. So the clients would be happy, and we should mention the quality checks that whatever we will be doing. Also say root cause analysis, if anything goes bad, we'll be doing a root cause analysis in say 72 hours. So those things you can mention clearly in your contract itself. You can mention that provider, as in like you will be committing to a 99% accuracy rate, on time delivery of work, CSAT or customer satisfaction assessment test of more than five, as in like a rating. CSATs are the ratings given by the clients. So you will be provide having a CSAT of at least four, and any failure of say 2 quarters can lead to a termination of the contract. So you can simply mention these things in your contracts itself. Now, the last part of that contract, our contracts would be clearly mentioning the governing law and how the dispute resolution mechanisms as well. Uh, Best would be to have arbitration clause that in case of any sort of dispute, we will be going to an international arbitration court instead of the judicial systems, because that are like quick and maybe a cheaper as well arbitrations. But uh, like for but never use governing law as Indian law, because no client would not happy with the Indian law that uh, they if you they want to sue you, they have to raise it in Indian court. No one would agree to that context. So choose the governing law very clearly. If you are providing services in US, use Delaware because it's most business friendly. Uh, like Texas is a growing market, so you can also, if the client is based in Texas only, so that client would definitely want that uh, the governing law would be, say, state of Texas or maybe state of New York or state of California. So these sort of things before entering into contract, have a bit research a proper contract basically. Getting work on Upwork maybe would not help you in this, but if you are actually having say $5,000 retainer, you can think upon having this sort of contracts in place, or maybe even $1,000 contract, $1,000 per month is coming in. You can have these sort of contracts, maybe reduce the volume, as in like you can maybe remove certain clauses. For example, at the initial stage you might not need the intellectual property right clause, as in like you do not have any proprietary softwares or you do not have any templates, so you can skip certain parts of the contract, as in like certain clauses or maybe part of the clauses, but uh, at least have the contracts in place, and in longer run have full and robust contracts in place. So this is uh, how you will be completing the 15 closed robust contracts, and I am happy to take the queries if you guys have any uh, before wrapping before moving to my second part of the session.
Sir, yes, Gunjan, you were saying something? No? Okay. Let me. Okay. I think she was saying something, but okay. So definitely, sir, we can move forward. We do have some questions coming up from the participants with respect to the contract management, but we can take it once your portion is completed.
Okay. So, next part would of this session would be um, framing the export level documentation. As in, like, you have accounting contracts in place, that would be master service agreement. You can have master service agreements in place, but still different aspects we will be covering in just 5-10 minutes. That would be master service agreements. That 15 closer can be part of this MSA. But apart from that MSA, you can have NDAs apart, right? As in, like, what's NDA, non-disclosure agreements? Obviously, before even start of an MSA, because before a CPA firm or maybe direct client actually enters with you a contract, they might, before even sharing any sort of information, they might ask you to sign a NDA beforehand. So before even sharing a list of, or maybe sharing sample data to fix the pricing, you need certain data, right? So before even sharing that data, they might ask you to sign NDA. So these sort of documents can be part of, or maybe a exhibit to your main contract, as in, like, scope of work, statement of work, as in, like, engagement letters. We sign engagement letters apart from, or the MSAs, right? So in the initial phase, you will be signing NDAs as well as the scopes. And then for each category of small work, you can have adjoining SLA agreement. For example, you started, as in, like Ankita ma'am mentioned in the initial phase, I believe, that you start working with on a particular project, then payroll comes in, then a lot of things coming in. Then if you have MSA, then add, you can mention in MSA itself that all the ad hoc works, or maybe additional works, can be dealt in additional SLAs. So you can exhibit like SLAs with your MSAs, so that you can have a robust contract in future, for which can answer the future queries as well, right? And then, most importantly, FEMA compliance, as in, like, if you are exporting your service, Indian firms are exporting service, then as in, like, Indian government promote that sort of service, right? So if we are exporting service, we need to have certain documentations in place with respect to India as well. That would be having proper forex invoice, that would be categorized as a export of service. If you are billing in INR only, that is not considered as a export. So have a forex invoice, maybe say euro, dollar, maybe say pound, whatever it is, and then have proper purpose code written on the invoice itself, and also mention that export of services, like you are exporting service as per this section, clearly mention on the invoice itself. Also mention the purpose code. For example, the purpose code for accounting, auditing, or like whatever services we generally provide, it's covered in this purpose code P1005. So clearly mention that purpose code with respect to RBI compliance, as in, like, FEMA and PMLA compliance needs this sort of purpose code written. FIR says foreign inward remittance certificate. Generally, like, we need this for getting our refunds for GST paid out, for any sort of duty exemptions, if we want to import something. If we have exported services, we can use these EFIRCs get refund and get DGFT benefits. Everyone knows what's DGFT. It's a separate, like you can play around with all these benefits, but it's mandatory that every payment has to be received at least in 12 months from the invoice date. That is very much important compliance with respect to FEMA. Otherwise, that would not be considered as export, as also you will not be able to claim benefits. GST compliance, again mentioning that it's a export of service, but the supplier being in India, recipient being sitting in outside India, that are like the base condition. Place of supply should also be outside India and forex invoice. Then that would be considered as export as a zero rated supply, and then you can also like then claim refunds of say rent paid, say services taken in India, internet or software. So you can take those sort of refunds from GST paid out, but if only you can do like you if you are properly filing the LUTs as in like letter of undertakings with the department, right? Then operational and delivery excellence documentation, as in like prepare proper SOPs for whatever work you are doing. I am trying to make you export oriented, as in like you guys are providing services being an exporter. So you should have SOPs in place and quality controls in place, so that you have a robust contracts everywhere, right? So SOPs, for example, I know CA in Sirsa as well. They have recorded everything, as in like they are providing traditional service in Sirsa as a CA, but they recorded everything, prepared SOPs being in a small city as well. So this shows how important SOPs are, because you end up training a lot of employees, because in service industry the employee churn is huge. So if you are serious about exporting services, then you should have proper documented SOPs in place, so that you are not in trouble to scale your firms and practices. So with this note, I am happy to take all the queries answered, and uh, yeah, over to you, Ankita.
Thank you, sir. I believe attrition management becomes really well organized with the standardized procedures if we have in place. It really helps in the process a lot. Yes, actually, a very insightful session, Japnapreet sir. Actually, I have been working in the same industry for quite a good long time, and I know the importance of the contract and the SOWs points that you mentioned. And we have actually faced lots of instances wherein we were missing some key points into the agreements. For example, one with a very live incidents, if I take up. Uh, it's like we were having one of the female employees who were going on a maternity leave, and it's a very peculiar thing which is not very much familiar with the US industries. So with the Indian market, we have stat laws according to for following this, but the client was not aware of this, and at the same time, since it was not included in our SOW, the client was very hesitant to pay on the maternity leave part to the candidate. So then obviously there were negotiations and there were discussions which went on there, and finally a conclusion was reached. But since we were missing that in our SOW, I can understand how important it is to have it included it over there as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much insightful for me as well. As in, like, include these things as well. I haven't even thought of this, but it's very much needed, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, okay, so going forward with the questions that our participants are having, sir. So, like as we know that the Indian market is very fresh with this particular format, and many of the people are just entering into the system. They are just exploring the market. So, obviously, this is a very comprehensive document that you have maintained over here. But according to you, what are those three important clauses which should be considered when a new member is just entering into the contract or just entering into the work relationships with the US counterparts? So maybe if you can just pick up three key clauses which definitely needs to be there in the mind, that would be really helpful.
Okay. Nice question. Yeah. So first of all, scope. As in like it's very much it's a base basically. If you do not have scopes in place, as in like what you will be delivering, the SL is basically what
Yes.
you are delivering actually when it's due, what defines acceptance. So these sort of things are very much needed because this is the first part where disputes actually arise. So if you have proper SLAs in place, then first part would be having the critical SLAs, as in like robust SLAs, I would say. Then I would definitely pick the liability things, as in like uh, the indemnity caps, as
Mhm.
in like whatever uh, the liability you are defining, as in like what would be indemnity cap, as in like it's 100,000, or it's just your say 5 months of your fees, or maybe 6 months of your fees of last 6 months, you will be indemnified to the CPA or maybe to that direct business. So defining those liabilities is very much critical and important. First would be defining your work and then defining the liability. Uh, I would say everything is a critical, as in like I would not say that a, a lot of things can be skipped out of this contractual part, but
Yes.
the scope, defining the scope, liability, and the third, obviously, the pricing metrics, as in like how much you gonna charge. Because see, these three things are vital where the actual disputes happen. So if you are defining that after raising of an invoice, the payments would be coming in, say, 30 days max, and beyond 30 days, there would be interest of say 1.5 or maybe 1% per month. So these things are very much critical as per me.
Okay, definitely pricing comes in first because we are executing something, and that is obviously has to have a consideration in return. So for sure. Thank you so much, sir. The next question we are having is our participants wants to know if we can have a study level draft of this particular agreement and the clauses that we are talking about in here.
Yeah, I have like see, you guys can have this PD. So if I understood the query right, as in like they want maybe templates of this sort of thing.
Sort of, if anything that you could share with
Yeah,
the participants.
I have certain templates with me available. Maybe I'll try to share it in the chat itself, if it is possible. Or maybe I'm not sure how to circulate those sort of templates, but I do have certain templates in place. I would happy
Maybe
to
you can
share it.
share it with the team, the ICI team, and
Okay,
later on, along with the PPT that we
PDF.
are having right now, they can share it with the participants. That way,
Sure,
it will be useful for them.
sure.
Okay. And another thing that we would like to understand from you, Japnapreet Singh, that obviously you talked about the exit clause in detail about in over here, but sometimes what happens is that the client uh, misuses the contract terms, and just before the closure of the contract term, they comes in and they says that your employees are not working for us, and we want to uh, get it terminated right here itself. So, what could be the safeguards that could be used for this exit or the termination of the contract, wherein we can have the interest protected of the client as well as the service provider?
Yeah. See, client can terminate that contract stating two fact. Either like one thing would be stating that you are breaching the contract, as in like I am not happy with the services because you breached certain scopes, as in like you haven't completed certain services. So it can be allegation to you that you haven't completed the contract, so that's why I'm terminating it. Or but another part would be stating completely that I'm not happy with your service and then I am terminating it. if that is the case that they are not happy with it, so it's a not a dispute actually. So you can simply refer back your the scope, as in like the contract itself that clearly mentions that 60 days notice or maybe 30 days notice or whatever the notice is feasible to you, that this is the see, you can refer back to the client as well that see, our contract clearly mentions that 60 days of notice is required from either party before terminating the contract. And if you do not, if you want to end the services upfrontly right now, you have to pay us for the 2 months, because we have scheduled our expenses in that way, as in like we have deployed certain human resources on your project. So we need to pay out them. So we need to have protection for the setups we have invested in. So you can refer back your termination clauses as well. So again, as I mentioned that every aspect of the clause, every clause of this contract is equally important. So this termination clause is equal at that point, equally important at that point as well.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, moving to next. Obviously, since this has to be managed remotely, and we know that when we are doing this transactions online and recording and exchanging of data is happening, so what kind of non-negotiable data protection clauses comes into play, and how is the data being protected, and what kind of things that needs to be included in our contract?
Okay. Uh, this would be a technical part of uh, like contract. You in the initial phase, if you are starting your firm, you will not be having those sort of robust data infrastructure in place. So obviously you will not be able to hire a proper IT team handling all sort of these data encryptions and access controls. But like for example, you started getting work on say any sort of freelancing.com or maybe freelancer platforms, or maybe with your links in these countries, you started with certain work, but you will not be have because the operations are at such small level, you are not able to hire proper IT. So at least in the initial phase, use proper encrypted models. I would say, instead of having data over emails, use remote desktops, as in like login into the ask client have a secured, controlled desktops available for you, as in like you just with your controls and accesses login into the client portals, login into the client desktop, ask them to provide certain accesses to us only, as in like for example, if you are doing say bank reconciliation of that entity, right, then have proper access only to the review, as in like you can view the bank accounts only, as in like you can view the bank statements, you can review the, at least view only, you are not able to make payments. So these sort of access controls should be in place. Apart from that, for example, you are also like in my previous organization, I was doing management accounting, so I was having rights to approve payments as well. So uh, how you gonna manage the data security, not just data security, any sort of security? So you have to have place in the like maker checker. For
Yeah.
example, if you are filing VAT return, have
Mhm.
one person preparing it, other person filing it. One person, for example, there are multiple software. For example, we used to do via alpha text. So one person is only having access to prepare it, he cannot file it. Other person can only have a reviewer role, he can
Mhm.
simply review it. So these sort of things, maker checkers can be in place. One person is punching the invoices, AP team is punching the invoices in the system. Uh, Another team is approving it in the system. Another person is approving those invoices to the vendors in the bank. So different makers, different checkers, a different hierarchy of the things. Apart from that, you can also have amount based checkers, as in like
Hmm. Makes sense.
the transactions beyond this would be checked by this person, beyond this would be checked by this. So this sort of hierarchies can be in place for the security, not just of data, but in overall mechanism of your firm. Apart from that, as in like have proper training of your teams as well, as in like what's phishing mails, as in like what sort of viruses can be like for example, everyone maybe you guys have encountered it or not, at least in like yesterday itself in our WhatsApp group of local CAs, security uh, concern was raised, as in like WhatsApp messages are being circulated stating that bank audit, as in like upcoming month is of bank
Yeah.
audits, right? So bank audit draft or maybe something like bank audit regulations and like these sort of PDFs and zip folders are being circulated. These
Okay.
are just viruses. So
Okay.
those are being shared just to increase. So if you are not being aware, as in like uh, your employees are not being aware, your employees are not trained, as in like what's phishing email, what sort of as in like viruses, you can do not open any sort of unauthorized emails, or maybe the sender is not verified, any sort of payments, say new payments coming in has to be approved by a finance manager of that company itself. Do not make any sort of payment to anyone directly. So these things, SOPs can be very well defined. Apart from that, see, you can have robust Gmail, as in like email structure, Outlook, and everything, but still phishing emails can come, right? So, train your employees. Apart from that, have a proper structure of communication, as in like what sort of data would be shared over emails and what should not be shared. So, these sort of things can be in place to maintain the data security and confidentiality.
Fair enough. Obviously, wherever there is pricing or any sensitive information
Yes,
involved, the masking and all can also be taken care of.
exactly.
Yeah. Good. Thank you so much for the explanation, sir. Okay. So, sir, overall, if you want to give from the learnings, obviously you're working in this field, any one golden rule for the drafting and effective outsourcing contract, how would you define that?
Okay. So effectively, this is the way of, see, this is the robust contract of clause 15, but basis whatever is the client's requirement, obviously, again speaking that you get a $50 client only, and you will not be able to, and the even client would not bother to sign a 15 clause pager, and getting proper agreements in place.
Yes.
But uh, while you like you actually become serious about this and have proper setups in place, you will not be targeting to that $50 per month or maybe once in a while contract. You will be trying to target monthly retainers. And then once you have monthly retainers in place, you would definitely want the 15 clause robust contracts in place. You will not be skipping any clause. See, the thing is, right now it might sound huge, as in
Hmm.
like the every clause you have to take care of. But once you start, see, once you have one contract in place, you just a new client would be just you need to change the names and maybe scope certain things and maybe a bit of pricing. Majority of the things would remain same. As in like scopes would be, as in like hierarchy or maybe communication would remain same. So majority of the things would remain change for every contract. Minor tweaks would be here and there. So once it's a one-time activity to have these sort of contracts for your firm, and then once you have it, you are good to go for any sort of contracts coming in. It can be used in taxation as well, like you are doing, say, taxation, or maybe even in Indian context as well. Not just if anyone is hearing having a sole proprietorship firm starting their career in this initial phase, don't just look into that you are providing ITR filing for individuals sitting in your hometown. Think that you will be uh, serving to corporates as well. Like if you are having good corporates as a clientele, then you should have these sort of contracts in India as well.
Correct.
So this gonna so safeguard you in a global context, not just a outsourcing space.
Long-term vision has to be kept when you're actually entering into the space.
See, I would definitely want to take 2 minutes here, as in like if you are serious with your practicing, it's like practice, it's a rewarding journey.
Yeah.
Initially, you will feel that a lot of things are not coming in your way, but once it starts, as in like then the mouth of word actually spreads in a good way. Like I had that experience of UK only, UK and European countries, but
Hmm.
I listed my work over Upwork as well. And then one Canadian guy over Upwork reached out to me. So this is my journey. So that need because I was into real estate and property accounting, so he reached out to me for that particular service based in Canada.
Okay.
uh, then I started providing bookkeeping to that person. Along with that, he is now my Indian client as well. As in, like his parents were initially from India back in 1960 some 70. They went abroad in Canada, and he has ancestors in India. So he has Indian like properties as well. So everything, whatever he has in India, I am managing it. As in, like all the international taxes. Like yesterday, he said that he wants to transfer certain funds around 1 CR from NRE to his account. So I'm managing his Canadian CRA as well. So it's a new thing to me, as in like revenue part of, as in like how to file, say, T1135 of Canada. It was new to me, but the opportunities started coming in, as in like yes, last year I filed his corp tax returns. Now, this year I am filing his T1135, which is foreign asset. Uh, Information return for to be filed in Canada. So why I'm like saying that this is a rewarding journey, like client would start coming in a longer horizon. You should have proper setups and setup of your mind as well. Apart from that, I would definitely want to like mention this that uh, make relations. Don't just go by laws and books. Make proper relations. For example, if you are providing, say, bookkeeping service, if you are speaking only bookkeeping, you will not
Hmm.
be able to maintain relations. If you want to maintain relations, have broader interest. Speak out of books as well. Maybe talk about sports or whatever is happening around globe. So if you do not have proper broader interest in place, you will not be able to maintain relationships. And then all these contracts and everything is not useful because you are not able to maintain the relationships with your clients.
Fair enough. Actually, this is how the chain gets developed and the scope of work increases in the same manner. So, having
Exactly.
good relationships with your client definitely helps in the long run as well.
Yeah.
Point
So
taken.
see, the thing is not just focus on like see, maintaining relations doesn't mean that you will be providing good work.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of your work that you are will be providing good work, and good work will reap you benefits via referrals, right? But at the same time, it's not just that's why the contracts are also required, as in like you just don't need to be good everywhere,
Right.
because client might expect you in the goodness of your nature that do this work as well along with payroll, maybe do AP as well in the same fees.
Yeah.
So that is part of ad hoc part. So you
Right.
should be maintaining the balance of professionalism and personal natures.
Understood. Fair point, sir. Uh, Actually, one of our participants wants you to reiterate on the white label arrangement agreement that you were mentioning. So if you can just put some light on the white label agreement arrangement.
Okay, so that was part of maybe growth strategy, as in
Yeah.
like entering strategy. So white labeling again would be you doing a backend and a support work to ACCA firm or a CA firm in UK or US, and then that you are not facing the clients directly.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the client, the CPA firm get maybe inform that for the client that they are getting the services outsourced from India. That is their call, but you are not directly facing the client. You are providing your services to the that CPA firm, maybe naming as a employee of CPA firm as well, as in like that CPA firm might introduce you to the client that this is my team.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like you will be working under their name, under their roof, but you are also having a own separate firm in India, right? So you are providing service to a CPA or a CA firm or a ACCA firm in these countries, but label would be theirs only. You are not having anywhere your own firm in place in front of client. They will assume that you are part of their team, so you are providing the service indirectly to the client, but directly to the CPA instead of directly to the client.
Mm.
The responsibility of managing,
Example of your board company speakers that you gave was a clear
yeah,
illustration of this particular arrangement that we have. So that makes sense over here.
exactly.
Yes.
See, the maintaining of relationships is with client.
Yeah.
Any sort of things going wrong, as in like in the initial phase, we are not that expert of those countries' laws and regulations. So I would suggest to have these sort of arrangements because I we will be doing it back end, but at least review is with them so that they are signing it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Okay, so we have one out of scope of our particular theme over here question that one of our participants is asking how to find the local CA with whom we can have this white label arrangement made. I know this is out of the scope of the team that you are having, but they want to know how to actually start building up that kind of relationships.
Okay. See, yeah, if you are targeting to have Indian you are targeting Indian clients, you can have bigger firms coming in and you can white label their work. As in, like for example, when I started practice, because obviously initially I haven't had a good global clientele, so how I started, I uh, started taking scrutiny cases for income tax for a local CA who was not having that much time to answer all the cases. So I used to handle it on sharing basis. Uh, Obviously, our as in like institute's ethics doesn't allow sharing of fees and revenue, but like I do not want to say anything on record, but these sort of arrangements, as in like you are doing work for another CA can happen. So this sort of arrangements you can figure out on yourself. Apart from that, if you are trying to get white label of a Indian CA working for US firms or maybe these sort of firms, but there is a catch, as in like at least I do mention that in my contracts that all I will not hire third party contractors to further allocate my work to another service provider in India, like this sort of thing. As in, like providers shall not subcontract any service to third parties without clients prior with written consent. So I believe this is what that person is trying to get into. But obviously, you can be associated like if that like Indian CA firm is providing services to a maybe multinational company or a global CPA firm, then you can definitely ask them that if you have like more work coming in, and if you do not have proper resources in place, I would definitely happy to pitch in. Might be there is a scope of sharing of work, and I believe sharing of work is not a harm to anyone.
Thank you so much for the insightful details. It was really very valuable to have you on the panel today. And with the lack of time, I know this discussion can go on like for hours, but obviously we have to do a closure as of now. So I would just like to take the opportunity for that. And definitely, today's discussion clearly highlighted that an effective accounting outsourcing contract is not just a legal formality. It's the foundation of a successful, scalable, and sustainable outsourcing relationship with our counterparts. And from defining the scope with clarity to establishing measurable SLAs, ensuring data security, and planning even the exit in advance, as you mentioned, each element plays a very critical role in avoiding risk and delivering long term value to our clients. As we move forward in an increasingly global and digital environment, the ability to structure strong, well thought out contracts and truly differentiate successful professional firms. I hope today's session has provided all the participants with the practical insights that they can apply in our own engagements. And I, once again, on behalf of ICI and the organizing committee, thanks to you, Japnapreet Singh sir, and all the participants to be a part of this insightful sessions. And we look forward to the continued participation with the ICI initiatives. Wishing you all a very wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.